Hi, I'm Anne-Marie Firmin. I'm the founder and director of Bristol Tutors. So research suggests that tutoring is most effective when there's some instruction given on how to carry it out. I'm very aware that many of you will have been teaching and tutoring for many years, in some cases decades, and this will be old news to you. But to some of you who are new to tutoring, I really hope this is a useful video to give you some tips on how to get underway and how to be the most effective tutor you can possibly be, and to help your students. So the first step is to pinpoint exactly what the student needs to be able to do by a given date and what you as a tutor need to do in order to help them to get there. So we need to be asking questions about exam boards, assessment dates. You need to go online and look at the specifications for any assessment that they're going to be taking. Make sure that you're crystal clear on the details so that anything that you do, any resources that you bring into that tutoring are tailor-made for that end goal, and that you're really clear actually on what that end goal is. In the first session, you need to be thinking about doing some kind of initial assessment. This will look very different depending on the learner, on their ability, but various different things could be appropriate. So one is a traffic lighting system, where the student would mark red for the topics that they've not done yet, green for those that they're really confident with, and in the middle there's amber, which is not quite sure, haven't covered them, don't really know if I've grasped them yet. And that's a great way of getting an overview of where they're up to in a course at any given point. With a humanities-based subject, some kind of essay-based exercise might be appropriate in the first session to sort of see how they approach things. If it's an exam year and it feels appropriate, doing some kind of past paper question could be quite useful as well. And there's all sorts of information that you can kind of pick up more subtly with past paper questions. Is a student understanding the question? Are they planning before they write? What's their baseline of knowledge like? So all of those are examples of how to do initial assessments. With younger learners, something really fun, a fun exercise where you can just be kind of gauging what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, where you can best help them. And this whole process is so important because ultimately, as a tutor, you need to be really clear on what their abilities are so that you start the tutoring at a pace and at a level that feels really comfortable for them, so you can help them to move forwards from there. So after the initial assessment, we need to be thinking about setting some goals. Obviously the student will probably have an assessment coming up, and they might have an idea of a grade that they want to achieve. So we need to be looking at setting goals, or you might call it a scheme of work, to map out how the tutoring is going to look heading towards that end goal. And you can even see it as sort of working backwards. So, we're here, this is what we can do now. This is where we need to get to, and really taking the lead with planning out and breaking down into manageable bite-sized goals, the tutoring, with a bigger picture of where you're heading and where the student needs to get to. So tutoring's underway, and we need to be thinking now about ongoing assessment, so checking in periodically to see if tutoring is having a positive impact. It might be that you go back to some of the exercises or questions that you did at the beginning. Can they do them better, faster? Are they improving? Looking at the traffic lighting topic system, are those going green as time progresses, as tutoring is sort of building as we're heading towards this assessment? And asking questions, how is the student finding it? Are there any difference in the grades? Are they enjoying the lessons? And if things aren't going quite as quickly as we'd hoped, it's a great time to stop and reflect and think, okay, let's look at learning styles. Let's just check that we are tutoring in a way that the student is engaging with. Are they a visual learner? Do they learn by doing? Is there something in class that they find really helpful in terms of a learning method that we can incorporate into tutoring? But it's hard to do that pause and reflect if you're not really tracking the progress as you go. So ongoing assessment is a really core part of delivering effective tutoring. So the final note is just to keep a log. After each session, jotting down some notes. Here's what we did today. here's where the student did really well, here's where they struggled a bit, and here's where we're heading next. If you're doing a school referral, it might be that there's a preset format that you need to use. In any other context, it might be up to you as a tutor just to keep your own notes. But a written log is really important because you need to be able to track where you're heading. It's really good to be able to share that where necessary or appropriate with parents and with teachers. And it's also really good as well for you as a tutor to be reflecting on where you're up to in terms of that bigger picture that you've mapped out. You know, are we heading in the right direction at the right pace? And a written log is just the best way to be doing that.